Armour in CSGO is stupidly difficult to explain and it makes no real world sense, but it seems to work okay for Counter-Strike's gameplay, and is super important to have almost every round, so listen up. The first reason for buying armour is to eliminate aim punch. When you get shot in the body or head, though strangely not the arms, your vision shakes about and your aim gets worse. Buying a vest protects against body shots, and a helmet protects against headshots, eradicating the problem of aim punch. So that's one reason for buying armour in Counter-Strike. There, with aim punch out of the way, it's on to how armour protects you against damage for the rest of this video. And I'm going to warn you now, if you think you understand it, you don't. If you buy armour in Counter-Strike, it will absorb up to 200 points of damage before it's destroyed. Although it's shown on screen out of 100, that's more like a percentage of however much is left of its 200 hit points. If you buy a vest, it covers your lower body, your upper body, and your arms, and hands and groin. A helmet covers your entire face. So with a helmet-vest combo, it will protect your entire body apart from your legs. It doesn't matter if you buy just a vest or a vest and helmet. They'll still only protect you for 200 points of damage before they both disappear. It doesn't matter where the armour is hit. If the vest takes 200 points of damage, the helmet will still disappear. And if the helmet takes 200 points of damage, the vest will disappear. They're treated as a single thing by the game, which is probably why, once you have both, you can't rebuy one separately from the other. Also, armour absorbs only a fraction of the damage dealt to you. Here's a list of all the weapons in order of armour penetration. Not that any gun in Counter-Strike does, but if a gun had 0% armour penetration, if it hit your armour, then you wouldn't take any damage from it until all of your armour had been used up. But no gun in Counter-Strike is as low as 0% armour penetration. The lowest is the Glock, and even that gun is rated at 47% armour penetration, meaning that for every 100 points of damage dealt to you, 53 of those points will be absorbed by the armour. For simplicity's sake, let's imagine a gun had 50% armour penetration, like the Nova or the CT starting pistols. Ish. Whatever damage it deals to you will be split 50-50 between your health and your armour. So say a bullet does 60 damage, it would deduct 30 of that from your health and 30 from your armour, leaving you at 70 health and 85 armour, because remember it's made up of 200 hit points, so 30 damage to the armour is only 15% of its total. The SG553 is the only gun in the game with 100% armour penetration, so if you know you'll be fighting against people armed with this gun, you might as well not even buy armour because it won't help you at all, apart from by stopping aim punch. The bullet's damage will all be inflicted to your health, and rather confusingly, your armour will remain at 100%, no matter how many times it's shot through by the SG553. But that's just with the SG553, which is a silly weapon. All other weapons in the game will have their damage at least partially stopped by armour. The AWP's armour penetration is second highest at 97.5%, so wearing armour will only save you from a few points of damage with this gun. It's still not really worth buying if you know you'll be fighting against enemies equipped with AWPs. But others, like the starting pistols, SMGs and Nova shotgun, have much lower armour penetration values, so armour will be more effective in protecting against these. All rifles have at least 70% armour penetration, which means they don't just deal more damage than SMGs do, but also that less of it is stopped by the armour. I would say this makes armour less important to buy when up against rifle-wielding foes, but it's still the difference between a one-shot kill and a two-shot kill, or a two-shot kill and a three-shot kill. So even though it's only absorbing a small fraction of the damage, it's still enough to make a life or death difference in battles, and therefore still has purpose and importance. As for grenades, the figures over on the Counter-Strike wiki actually prove to be correct. Molotovs and incendiary grenades will be unaffected by armour, which is different from when I tested it back in 2014. Damage from explosive grenades will be reduced by 40%, and grenade impact damage is halved. It might make all the difference in the world. So that's the basics of armour in Counter-Strike. Rewatch this first bit of the video until you understand it. And don't forget to subscribe. When should you rebuy armour? One situation would be if you only have a vest and want to upgrade to a helmet. Like, say you bought a vest for the pistol round and now want to buy a helmet to defend against one-shot kills in the second round. Provided your vest hasn't been damaged, you can upgrade to a helmet as well for just $350. But if the vest is damaged, even by as little as 1%, it'll cost you a full $1,000 to upgrade to a helmet and vest combo. This is why it sucks so much when you somehow survive pistol round without taking damage, only for a teammate to jokingly celebrate by shooting you. That's one of the most infuriating things that can happen in the game, especially since they think you're overreacting when you have a go at them for it and they're all like, dude, the round's over. Yeah, but the game isn't. It's also why it's worth landing a shot on an enemy's body during pistol rounds, because if they've already bought armor, then it will prevent them from cheaply upgrading to a helmet for the second round. Once you've got a vest and helmet, you can replenish both to 100% for just $650. A bit of a friendly reminder, a helmet may or may not be worth getting depending on your situation. As a terrorist, buying a helmet is useful because it means the CT rifles take 2 headshots to kill instead of just 1. But as a CT, I know the terrorist's AK-47 rifle will one-hit kill me either way, so I might as well save that $350 by just getting a vest, and by using that money saved elsewhere instead. I have a separate video talking about when a helmet is worth getting, which I suggest you check out if you want to know more. The other time you should rebuy armor is if what you have already is damaged enough to not survive the upcoming round. It's not as simple as saying that as long as you have 40% of your armor left, then you won't need to rebuy, because that totally depends on the weapons the enemies will be using. If you know they're all going to be using cheap pistols, then, in theory, being shot by a P2000 could reduce armor by up to 50 points, and being shot by a Glock up to 56 points. But if you're shot with an M4, it might just drop by a 22%, or by as little as 15% with the AK. But as you'll soon find out, it will almost always be a bit higher than that. Because damage rounds up for the armor and down for your health, which doesn't sound like it should make a big difference. But it can. Take a look at this. I'm being shot in the body by a Glock, and it's deducting 11 health and 14 armor every time, when it should really be doing 11.75 health damage and only 13.25 armor damage. This doesn't sound like a large difference, but it adds up. This rounding difference gets more important the less damage per shot that's being dealt. If you're being attacked by lots of Glock-wielding enemies a long way away, it will make a massive difference to the amount of damage you'll sustain. Here's an even more extreme example, where I'm being shot by a Glock at a distance of 4,000 units. After 28 hits, I'm still alive with just 4 health left and 16 points of armor. I lost 84% of my armor in a single round, thanks to the damage being rounded up every time. And that's why there isn't a hard limit on how much armor could be taken off you in a single round. You hear people recommending that you buy after you drop below 40 armor. It's advice that I typically stick to, and it's no hardship to do that because the chances are you've already won several rounds in a row at that point and have lots of money in the bank. But there will be times when 40 armor won't even come close to covering you completely. All because of rounding. And on top of all of this, you've got to weigh up the cost of rebuying armor with whatever else you could be spending it on. If you've got lots of money left over, then sure, you might as well rebuy armor just to be safe. But if you've got, say, 30 armor left, and it's a choice between rebuying that and being able to afford grenades or a better weapon, then you've got to decide which is more important to you, and you may only know that with hindsight once the next round is over. You got all that? Armor in CSGO is not simple. I actually hate how armor works in most games. It feels so approximate. I'd much rather it saved you from a few hits fully than to shield you by a vague percentage, which only serves to make me view armor as a mushy, half-hearted mechanic in games such as CSGO or Skyrim. Instead, give me armor that stops all damage, then makes a sound when it breaks to indicate that it needs to be replaced. I'd appreciate it a lot more. You've reached the end of this video, and if you're leaving this topic more confused about armor than you were when you started, well done. You've been paying attention.